Hey everybody, welcome back to another installment of Things We Bought Yesterday and Today. I'm Andy Nichols here, and following up on my partner's most recent post in this series, he scored a lot of the McCartney classical stuff, a couple of nice editions of Ram, the Japanese OBI strip one, and it's been a while since I've done one, so I wanted to dive into the Andy archives and show you a few things in my collection, but not so much McCartney related this time. This is going to be a Beatles centric and Lennon centric episode of Things We Bought Yesterday and Today, and emphasis definitely on the yesterday. These are acquisitions that are decades old by this point, but there's some of the things that I remember getting early in my collecting career and hold a special place for me as a Beatle collector still. And again, before I kind of went all crazy with McCartney stuff, those of you that know my fandom, I was a Lennon fan first. So you hear that, Joe? Joe, I hope you watch this, Joe. See, I'm not. It's not all about McCartney. There is a deep, hardcore Lennon fan in here. Trust me, okay? Believe me. But anyway, a couple of releases. We'll do Beatles first, and then the Lennon stuff. This one I got maybe about 10 years ago. The original copy of Past Masters on vinyl. As a young fan in the CD era, very hard to come by on vinyl. I never saw this anywhere. Beatle fests, New York City record shops that I would go to in Jersey, and then finally, maybe about less than 10 years ago, I found one in a local place, and I found it there. Interesting because, excuse me, you got the black on one side and the white on the other, and really the Past Masters, I mean, in the CD era, that was like just the best to have those singles on two CDs. It wasn't the Red Album. It was all the A and the B sides, and to get that on vinyl, and it's since obviously been redone after '09, but this is an original pressing from '88 here with Past Masters 1 and 2. Super thin vinyl. I'm not going to take it out and show you, but nice label here as well. I can show it. Doesn't come up anyway. But yeah, hard to come by, and I still haven't seen it anywhere much since. Next up, something I bought initially when it came out, and I haven't gotten the re-release yet because the original suffices for me, and that is the first edition of Live at the BBC from 1994. Two records on the back, and I know once the on-air series came out again, they repackaged the BBC again on vinyl. I did not get that. I bought this, for those of you in the New York City area who might remember, I bought this at a little place called J&R Music World, which was downtown Manhattan near the World Trade Center. And I bought this when it came out way back in the day, probably for about $20 when it was brand new. I know it goes for a lot more than that now. So, again, as we talked about on some of the McCartney episodes of the vinyl in this period was pressed really cheaply, very thin, especially when you come to these period, like the Past Masters, the BBC, and the next one I'm going to show you. Crazy amounts of tracks per side. Now, they weren't super long, so they could do that when you're talking about the BBC, like record one, side one, has got 17 tracks on it. 17 tracks, but they're short. So, and I remember they said, the label didn't have any of the details. It said see album, inner artwork for information because there was so many to squeeze in there. But then again, I probably haven't played these in some time. But again, just part of the collection, BBC. Next one of my favorites. I actually own two copies of this, but this one is a crown jewel because there were so few of them made. Okay, and that is an original pressing, 1995, of Anthology Volume 1, sealed, not opened. I think I got this, again, probably less than 10 years ago. I got the initial one right around 95, 96 when the anthology came out as a UK import. I think it was about $30 back then, which was a lot of money in the 90s. So, I mean, if you had to compare that today, it probably would have been about 60 or $70 easily today for a triple album. But I found, funnily enough, this copy that I found sealed, I found, again, 10 years after that, probably at least, and it was like $20. So I don't know what they knew what they had, but I'm not opening it for sure. But that is a sealed copy of Anthology 1. Same deal as BBC, thin vinyl. The next one, I know I'm going to make my partner jealous here, Tom Onyati, with this one, because I don't think he has it yet. But this is 2003's Let It Be Naked on vinyl, with the fly on the wall disc included as well with the label. And I don't have it in a plastic bag because it's too thick to fit inside of the sleeves that my partner recommended me to get. It's not my preferred version. I'm a traditionalist. Give me the original Let It Be. Again, I'm not a big fan of historical revisionism, despite whatever people might think. It's okay. It's interesting, but especially in lieu of all the slew of Get Back releases and everything that we're going to get out of that. Again, but very hard to come by now. Again, but this was definitely a New York City acquisition back then, probably $30. I don't even know what it fetches for now. Now, some unofficial Dutch imports, to borrow a term from my friend Dylan Seavey. Some of these are some of the very first items I ever got in my Beatle collection. This is one of the earliest ones ever known, created. Get Back to Toronto. One of the very first ones ever produced. And I wouldn't mind. I'll take this out and slide it. Show the label here. And I know there's variants of this edition as well here too. There's the label right there. You know, peace message. Okay, on our way back home. So, yeah, one of the very first ones ever made. Okay. This one takes me way back. One of the first ones I ever owned as a small kid, small fan, young fan. Beatles, Ready, Steady, Go. I actually thought this was like a legit release when I probably was 8 or 9 when I got this. But this is the Beatles from all their stuff on Ready, Steady, Go. And I loved it because at the time it was the only place you could hear the Beatles doing the song Shout, as you've seen on the anthology. And it got released on the anthology. But you couldn't get the song Shout, or I couldn't anyway, on any other album or bootleg until you got this one. And there's the back credits there. You've got You Can't Do That, Can't Buy Me Love, She's a Woman, Babies in Black, Kansas City, She Loves You. And it closes with Shout. So this one was a big influence on me. I mean, I probably was, like I said, less than 10 when I got it. And it's, again, memories, early memories. Around the same time, a little later, was another one, The Beatles Conquer America, 2-record set. And this is pretty interesting because it's basically just the Beatles on all, it's all the Ed Sullivan shows. So it's the February 9th show. It's the other show on the 16th. It's the shows in Miami Beach. And then also the show in 65. All the Sullivan performances on 2 records. And also you get some press conferences on here as well. Which were all totally fake and made up. The Beatles just recorded their answers, and the disc jockeys just made it sound like they were interviewing them. And I think the Ed Rudy one is part of one of these as well. Shindig's also on here as well. So yeah, early collecting memories for this one is sure. Now making the swap over to good old JL. Those of you out there, who are Lennon fans, and I don't have all of them. I have them all digitally now, of course, but. It was a real labor of love, especially in lieu of the 1988 radio series, The Lost Lennon Tapes, when the whole series started coming out on bootleg. I remember listening to them on the radio, and I was just fascinated hearing all these little alternative versions, and I would grab them whenever I could. But again, they were not that cheap, especially for a young fan to come by. That was some hard-earned dough to get one of these. But one of the first ones I ever got, Volume 10, which I absolutely love because there's the versions of Sally and Billy on here. Watching the Wheels. Another version of Imagine with the drum. So it was just, and another early version of Whatever Gets You Through the Night. Again, you have to have, I'm sure anybody watching this will understand because they were probably part of it too. Before the internet, this was like gold because you had no other way to hear this stuff. So, these were treated like gold. And I said, I don't play them that much anymore because I have them all digitally, which is great. But these were absolutely awesome. I think this one was $12. See, if you saw this now, it would probably be $30. It's amazing how much unofficial releases they'll go for now. I've seen them at the fest. And the next couple I got probably a couple years later. I'm going to just show you one. It's the Lost Lennon series, but they kind of upped their game. They started doing them on colored vinyl. So this is volume 33, and I believe this one's on blue vinyl. Just a real nice job they did with these. There's an early version of Nobody Told Me on here called Everybody, Steel and Glass, radio spots, Serve Yourself. So, just an awesome job. I mean, they really upped their game here with the quality. That's 33, 34. One of these is pretty interesting too because it takes up a whole side. Yeah, this is 34. On the second side, if you can see it, it says that side. It says I'm stepping out 20 minutes. It's a whole recording session where the band breaks down and orders dinner. It's fascinating to listen to when you listen to this stuff. They're ordering sushi, and John's ordering, and they all decided to get sushi, and it's you hear it. You hear all this stuff happen on just on that other side. So great memories getting these at Beetle Fest. And then at volume 35, right here, same thing. This is on a pink vinyl. I'll take it out real quick and show you as well. Here, yeah, just a nice job. Bag Records, for a bootleg, home run. And I'm sure somebody out there has all the volumes. I don't even know where they stopped. So if somebody knows what number they stopped at with the Lost Lennon tapes, please let me know, because these were a labor of love to get, for sure, back in the day. Okay, winding down here as well. I think this is a UK budget as they go falling. Hold on. From here. No, it's not staying. Stay. This is one of those MFP, Music for Pleasure, Mind Games with this alternative cover, which I think is definitely just a budget release. But I've always been fascinated with this one. This, Mind Games is one of my favorite Lennon albums. That and Rock and Roll. I've gone back and forth with what I like better, but Mind Games I think is my favorite album. But this cover, I thought would have made such a cool cover if he done this one instead. Definitely, yeah. It's the MFP label, a budget label out of England. Again, and I think it was manufactured and pressed in 1980. I want to say, with the red label right there. Yeah, sounds okay. More of a collector's item for sure, though. But just a cool, John had gone with a cover like this as opposed to the official one. I think it would have done better. Still one of the best albums of all time, in my opinion. Last, this going back to 2010. This is the vinyl edition of the Lennon, the Signature series on vinyl. Over my shoulder, you can see the CD version I have up there, with all the albums bundled in there as well. And this is unique because, again, this was all this stuff, kind of coincided with his 70th birthday. If you remember, this was the Gimme Some Truth box set came out with all the different, that was just another compilation. And John's music has been repackaged so many times. You've got the initial run of CDs, on Capitol in 87, 88, which that was what they had for, ever. Then you had the early 2000s remixes, which for my money is still the gold standard of Lennon, the versions to get. The music was remixed. Yeah, Yoko changed up a little bit of stuff there, especially with Walls and Bridges, and changed the artwork. Sonically, that 2000 to 2005 period of the remixes, Plastic Ono Band, Imagine, sometime in New York City, the O2 Mind Games remix, Rock and Roll, Walls and Bridges, Pound for Pound, those are the additions to get. 2010 comes around to celebrate his 70th birthday, and they repackage all of his albums again, but only in the way that he and John's original mixes. So it's that same muddied production, which, hey, it's true to John's vision. But this, if you don't know, if you bought a copy early enough, and I was fortunate enough to do that, there was a mistake with this. And those of you Lennon fans out there know what I'm talking about. And that mistake is on the album Rock and Roll. And if you went to go play Rock and Roll and you got to the song You Can't Catch Me, you didn't hear You Can't Catch Me. You heard Sweet Little 16. So that was obviously a flaw there in the pressing plant when they were making this one. I don't know how many got out before they fixed it as well, but this is the version I have that has that mistake. And in terms of restoring them to what they want, the artwork's been restored, which is nice. The labels on all of them are restored to their original UK labels as well, with the nice perimeter print. This is how they were issued in the UK, and that's how they were reissued here for his 70th. And and they didn't, nothing obviously came around for his 80th other than the Gimme Some Truth compilation with the new mixes, which was fabulous. But I think the book has been, set on John's, other than remixing the albums, which of course this year we're going to get sometime in New York City with the Ultimate Mixes now. But that's probably going to be the final word on it. So if you're looking around, I mean, you could probably get these albums individually. I've never seen this as a package anywhere else. I don't know how hard it is to come by now, but it's the original set of Lennon albums. And just to close it all up, it's funny, rock and roll, and Ken Michaels did a great job with Jay Bergen on his channel, interviewing John about that rock and roll album and the Morris Levy lawsuit over Roots, and talked about it before. It's definitely a welcome addition, and if you haven't seen that interview, by all means, go check it out. Ken did a great job, and Jay Bergen's, recounting of that period and that trial and his memory was absolutely fantastic, and it was one of the most enjoyable recent Lennon books I've read. I've read them all, and also a great job by Ken Michaels as well. The amount of detail, the testimony, the stories of how everything he went on, but that goes in there. So that's just a little bit of a dip back into Andy's past there of collecting. You might see these books here to my left. I'm getting ready for our next episode. I've got 2 books here, one on Lennon and one on McCartney. They're both authored by John Blaney. Listen to this book, and Paul one is the songs he was singing, and this one goes up to about Driving Rain, and Lennon's book obviously covers his whole discography. And we're going to be interviewing John in a few weeks. Probably have a show ready for him for August for 2 Legs. So I'm just going back into these and kind of getting familiar with his writing style and how he kind of came up with his his entries and how he compiled it. And I know he's done another series that my partner Tom has, which is 4 volumes. I just have the 1. I wasn't aware that there was more, but that's going to be coming up. So stay tuned for that. And we're going to be going live this Wednesday as a part of our weekly summer series on when we go live on Wednesday nights. So look for Tom and I to chat it live around 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our YouTube channel, where we'll see some of you then. So thanks for checking out this episode of Things We Bought Yesterday and Today, and I will see you next time. Thanks.